enhancements that are made to ASP.NET, the enhancements that are being made to Silverlight to enable online, offline, in and out of browser experiences. Pretty revolutionary.
But it's called for, but it's really, I think, the 6th version of the framework. Right? Because you have 1 and 1.1.
Yeah, I never understood how you guys version like that.
Our naming situation certainly could use some improvement, for sure.
But it makes sense to me that 4 is a big jump again. This is where now I feel like we're taking WPF seriously. It's become a core part of the framework. We've really, the first time we've stopped building on top and built a new major version.
That's right. Kind of really investing in the existing technologies. It's important that we kind of stop and kind of firm up the technology substrate. The thing that we think about on that front is, what more can we do to enable developers to be even more productive with those platforms?
Well, and I find when I'm speaking to developers, there's a lot of folks who are still running 2. Like 2 was a big version. It was the first third version, and it was real solid. And so I guess they're looking for what is it going to be that's going to jump us up.
Well, I'm glad you bring that up, because one of the areas that we got strong feedback in the last version of the product is the critical importance of multi-targeting. Right. We've had in the past this hard lock on the framework and the tools, and so if you wanted to use the latest productivity features in the latest version of the tool, you had to use that version of the framework that shipped at the same time. And so with this version, the Visual Studio 2010, and to a lesser extent with 2008, this multi-targeting feature enables us to start letting you use the latest tools with previous versions of the framework.
That's great, and key feature. I also think that 64-bit is coming to the fore this time. That far more machines running 64-bit, both on the dev level and on the server level, and the targeting of, do I really want to run a 64-bit or do I want 32-bit on the 64-bit platform? I know that one of the messages we keep pushing out on the show is make sure you're not saying run any unless you really mean it. Right? Target for 32-bit if you need 32-bit. Is there much to say there that in terms of change? Are we taking 64-bit more seriously?
I think slightly more seriously. The reality is that our investments are in parallel computing pretty significantly, and if you've seen any of the investments there, we talked a little bit about them at the PDC. There are both managed and native investments in parallel computing that enable kind of massively distributed applications. We've got a new team that just kind of came to creation over the course of the last couple of weeks that's focused on technical computing, high-performance computing, parallel processing, and it's a combination of developer division, our research team, and NASA. I'm joking about NASA, but we're really bringing in the smartest and best people to try to figure out how to crack the code on building these massively distributed applications.
Well, I know I've seen stuff behind the scenes, and there's some of the new parallel libraries. We've done interviews with Stephen Taub and wicked smart guys that are trying to solve a very challenging problem of we're going to have a lot of cores on our regular computers.
That's right. That's right.
Not just 2, but not just 4, but 32. What are we going to do about that from a development perspective? Studio 2010, on that same vein, F#. Is this going to be a language that's going to help us get to parallel computing even more easily?
F# is definitely part of that equation. We believe that F# is probably more isolated. We won't see a mainstreaming of the F# language. I don't expect to see breakout sessions at our conferences around F#, just because of the fact that it's a relatively specific domain that it goes and solves. Mm-hmm. But it's certainly a technology that relates to the area you're talking about.
Sure.
One of the things that I think about with respect to all this computing power is bringing it to life for end users. And one of the places that I think Internology and Tim are kind of famous is really about lighting up all those various platform technologies that we've got. We've got Silverlight, we've got WPF, and Tim and Internology are really kind of a forefront of what's going on with Surface.
And now Win7 Touch.
Right, Win7 Touch.
Win7 Touch. So I've played with the HP TouchSmart, which is sort of the screen-based touch, because the touch system in Surface is awesome, but it's big, it's deep. And some of these other touch solutions, I guess that's the battle I'm looking for, is if Win7 is going to take over, everybody's going to have touch. I need touch in my monitor that's as good as touch in my Surface.
And, well, that's a bold statement.
Oh, yeah, I know what I want.
Because,
I don't know how I'm going to get it.
The Surface, of course, has this elaborate grouping of cameras, patented which makes the table itself very expensive. And it does recognition. I put my badge down and it says, hey, you're Tim, type of stuff.
What I've seen in that raw feed, like you could make out that that's a dollar bill. It's not just there's fingers here. It's quite detailed.
So Windows 7 is a little far away from that.
Sure.
But nonetheless, I mean, we'll have touch-based interface in .NET, in WPF, in Silverlight, of all things, which that was announced at Mix. We're going to have an API in Silverlight for touch. And not just touch, I mean multi-touch. So you stretch and flick and all that stuff. All the computers in the next few years are going to be touch capable because it's finally at a price point. The hardware is.
The basic hardware.
Yeah, that it makes it a consumer type of purchase.
You've worked on this stuff at the surface level with multiple uses and so forth. There's so many paradigms around Surface, it's pretty complicated. But don't we get enough just with 2-touch? Like, is that where we're going to start?
It's funny, you know, the three of us all have gray hair. So it's hard to teach old dogs new tricks. Yeah. You know, to come up with scenarios for applications that involve multi-touch is hard for us. Yet my 13-year-old, some of the kids, the brilliant kids that work for me, right?
Sure.
They totally get it.
Sure.
You know, we're going to build a demo, and like Kevin Kennedy, who you know, he's on your show. He says, well, I wanted to learn the interface for touch, so I'm going to build this painting application. With one hand, you know, he opens a picture. You got to see this, really. He opens a picture, and you know, say it's scenery, and he puts his finger across the forest as he's painting in the window, because you know, to get the forest over here. So you can imagine his paradigm is, well, in the future, you know, these artists aren't going to be holding on a mouse.
Sure.
They're actually going to be drawing with
both hands,
tools and fingers, and right on the screen. You know, but nonetheless, me coming up with a CRUD application that requires multi-touch, other than gratuitous animations, which, you know, we have none tonight. That's what we need.
We need more gratuity. That's right.
That's what we need.
Well, I don't think one of the challenges with touch is that it doesn't demo well from a visual perspective. You need a camera so people can see your hands in action. Like, it's much harder to actually demo a touch app well.
In the Surface, and I've now been demoing Surface on stage for a long time, it makes it even more complicated because every lighting scenario makes the Surface behave differently.
Right.
Sure.
Because
you have to
cameras in there that are freaked out by the light.
Yeah, so you have to configure it in every lighting scenario, and if you screw it up, you go like this and nothing happens, and the audience looks at you like you're an idiot.
Yeah. Right.
Which you might be, but nonetheless.
So, we've got a great confluence coming together. Are you going to tell me when Studio 2010 is going to ship?
No, I'm not.
Okay.
And the reality is, it's not a secret. I mean,
you're in marketing. Can I cut you off? Your answer is when the customers tell us it's ready.
And you know, and I got to tell you that used to be a bit of a something you just said, but with Soma Samasagar, who's the new senior vice president of engineering. He really means that.
Yeah.
He really means, like, we are not going to ship this thing until it's ready. And you marketing guys, if you can tell me that I need to ship it by X date, but I'll hold if I don't think it's quality enough. So he really means that.
But that synthesis of Windows 7, the Touch APIs, Studio 2010, .NET 4,
Silverlight 3,
SharePoint.
Oh yeah, SharePoint integration.
This is going to be a good.
It's going to be a huge release. Yeah.
Guys, really great talking to you.
Good talking to you. Thank you.
Perfect.
Rockin'.
Was that 16?
That was
Perfect.
You are correct.
You nailed it.
You nailed it.
Thank you.